Hi, everybody, and welcome to Unified, a podcast feed from First Church Belmont Unitarian Universalist. We'll be sharing sermons and stories, especially thematic content made new every week. We're so glad you're here, and for more information about who we are and opportunities to grow and deepen, swing by the church on Sundays or check out our website at uubelmont.org. And for now, enjoy this new content.
This is the time in our service when someone generally wearing a black robe gets up and speaks. And today that happens to be me. And if you've been here for even a couple of weeks, you'll probably have this expectation. As humans, as creatures, as individuals, as a community, we go through our lives carrying with us expectations. We go through our lives, if not governed by expectations, at least so aware of them that they inform our actions and our thoughts. And a way of understanding this is to consider the dishwasher. Over half of the households in this country have a dishwashing machine, and the purpose of this machine is in its name. A dishwasher washes dishes. We fill those machines up with dishes that have been used. We press a button or two, and in a certain amount of time, we open the door of the machine to find clean dishes. Now, of course, this is the expectation, right? We expect to find clean dishes once the machine has run its cycle. We expect to find our dishes without a speck of whatever lentil-based dish we had the night before. And we expect those dishes to be dry. We expect that whatever detergent or dishwashing pod we place into the machine does the job of cleaning. And we expect that the jets of water in the machine power wash each plate, each cup, each utensil. We expect a certain outcome when we use a dishwasher. But sometimes that doesn't happen, right? Sometimes, even after we've gone through the routines of loading the dishwasher and using the best detergent and pressing whatever buttons that make it seem like the machine is going to do incredible things, sometimes we open the dishwasher and we find out that it didn't quite do its job. Perhaps you're in a rush. So many people are in a rush. So perhaps you're in a rush one morning and you just need a clean spoon to eat your oatmeal before you head out. But when you open the dishwasher, you find out that none of the spoons were cleaned off completely. What an absolute nuisance. And perhaps you're in the middle of a large baking project and you need that one specific bowl you used yesterday and you want it to be clean. But when you open the dishwasher after the cycle is done, you find out that for some reason, the dishwasher left a line of residue on that bowl. You might think, this is not what I expected. A dishwasher can disappoint. No matter what we've done to prepare that dishwasher for success, it can disappoint us. We could, as my older brother does, stack each plate with just the right amount of space around it in just the right order. He is adamant that certain things go in certain places, that the order of this world might be sustained ever so slightly by the intention used to load a dishwasher. And sometimes we might pre-wash our dishes before putting them into that machine. We might rinse off the plates and utensils before putting them in the dishwasher, before that machine runs a single cycle. We are setting ourselves up for a certain outcome, an expected outcome. We prepare and handle the dirty dishes in such a way so that the expected outcome is nearly promised. The machine in this church's kitchen even has a sign that implores us to, quote, use the right rack. There are pictures that help us with which rack to choose based on which dish is dirty. The expectation being, I assume, that the correct rack helps make sure the dishes are properly sanitized. And we like it, I think, when our expectations are met. We like to have some notion of what things will be like if we do certain things. We like to know, for example, that if we go to a place called a restaurant, there will be food. We'll expect to pay for that food, and we might even expect that the food will come out on clean dishes. We have these expectations. We are held by expectations. These are pieces of our thoughts that let us move through the world in certain ways. Ways that feel safe, ways that feel routine, ways that allow us to predict. But sometimes in our lives, when we look ahead perhaps 2 or 3 days in advance, we don't know what to expect. We know something is happening, but we don't know what to expect. Now, of course, I am talking about the election. We know that the election is happening on Tuesday. We know that voting will end on Tuesday. We know that. And we've prepared for that. We've prepared for that in so many ways. We've prepared for that in ways not too dissimilar from how methodical some folks load their dishwasher. If we want a certain outcome, if we want to get as near to the possibility of an expected outcome, we do some pre-work. The efforts of our UU The Vote volunteers in this congregation and UU communities around the country are a great example. Hunkered down over long tables, folks wrote postcards to people encouraging them to vote. Or they texted people to remind them to register to vote. Or called people to let them know when voting registration ends. And these are monumental tasks. And so many volunteers, some here in this room, but also ones unknown to us around the country, helped construct a pathway for our energy. We want to expect an outcome. We want to have an expectation, so we do the work. We do the work together. We do the work that gives us the possibility of expecting an outcome, a result, an existence defined by a widening circle of concern that seeks out ways of inclusion, an outcome that demands abundance, an outcome that threatens only one thing, hatred. But just like when we load the dishwasher, we can only expect an outcome. We can't know the result until it happens. Each of us is but one actor in the scheme of democracy. We can act in large numbers, but no matter our size, a future outcome can't be truly known. It is beyond our limits. In the reading earlier, Octavia Butler asked the question, why do we try to predict the future if it is so difficult, if it's nearly impossible? Or we might ask ourselves, why might the future seem so uncertain even though we've put in so much effort? We take on projects like UU The Vote to encourage more people to vote. We take on projects like traveling to other states to canvass voters. We take on projects like making sure our families know what it means to vote for certain candidates. We take on these projects because our tomorrow is the child of our today. Those are Octavia Butler's words. Our tomorrow is the child of our today. We cannot know tomorrow, but we can know today. We can care for today. We can provide today a place of welcome. But what happens tomorrow? What happens in the coming days? What happens next in our uncertain future? I am reminded of the words of James Baldwin to answer this question. And he says, "Wherever love is found, it unfailingly makes itself felt." Now, this is a statement ripe with expectation, a statement that predicts a tomorrow. I hear in those words the assurance that there will be a love that is. We have to go to that love. We have to find it. And we might have to remember to look for it. One of the tragedies of anxiety is that it impacts our memory. Anxiety worsens our working memory. And when that happens, we might forget that we exist in community. We might forget that we covenant to gather together. We might forget that we exist as a place of comfort for each other. Last year, this church chose a covenant of faith, also called a bond of fellowship, and it reads, "We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world." These words were all put together by this community over time, and this covenant tells us what we can expect here, in this place, and here amongst each other. What I hear within this covenant is an expectation to gather. This might seem simple, but in a world with so many choices, the action of gathering is one that demands a certain presence. We covenant to participate in this way. We expect that we will be involved in some way. And this covenant lays out 3 specific ways that we gather here. We gather with love. We gather amidst diversity, and we gather to serve. These ways of gathering are important. By pointing to these ways, we say, for example, that we do not gather out of hate. We do not come here to point at others and spew profanities. We do not gather so as to build walls of exclusion. We gather as a loving community, one that encourages and comforts one another. We also gather as a diverse community. We are supportive of each other as we search for spiritual truth. We are supportive. We are not dictators. We support the journey of spiritual practice. We are not covenanting to demand one way of being spiritual, religious, or faithful. The name one of us has for God is not the name each of us has for God, nor do any of us have to have a name for God. And we gather to serve. We serve from the fuel of our beliefs. We serve to act on those beliefs. We join the UU the Vote efforts because we believe in the power of voting in a democracy. And we believe that to inform people of this power is important. Our covenant points to the various ways, simple and complex, that we exist together. And these words shape our expectations. We come to know what it means to be part of this community because there are words that provide this framework of expectation. Our task when breathing through any anxiety in the coming days is to remember this covenant, to remember that no matter the outcome, we can expect to gather. We can expect that this place, this community will be here. We can expect to find a sustaining force of love because it is present here. You might remember that midday on a Wednesday, people gather here for a soup lunch. You might remember that this Tuesday night you're invited to gather and watch election results together in the parlor. You might remember that we will gather to watch the children's musical take to the stage later this month. We can expect something of our tomorrow because we take care of our today. And each day this is true. We might still wrestle with uncertainty. We might feel anxious about the outcome of the election. But we can also expect something of ourselves here. We can give ourselves that grace. Each of us, with our own struggles, our own concerns, joys, and aspirations, we find ourselves here. We find ourselves on the cusp of an election as well. We have ideas of how we want the election to unfold, but we are uncertain of what will happen. We cannot know the future, but perhaps we can lean on more certain expectations. We can lean on the expectation to find ourselves here. We can lean on the expectation that we will find ourselves here with the people near us. We can lean on the expectation that this is a place that cares for today to make sure that our tomorrow is one that finds love at its center. Amen.